Welcome to TechNOW. I'm John Reid, host, also CEO of CATA Alliance. And we're very pleased to have with us today from Prince Edward Island, the founder of Screenscape, Mark Hemphill. And Mark, we've been chatting a little bit about what's it like to be a startup? What are some of the key challenges? Can you give us some insight and maybe some guidance to others who want to do the same thing? Over to you, Mark.
Sure, and I've been asked the question many times. That's obviously a popular question for people who are, like me, kind of involved in early stage technology companies. So why don't I try to add to that conversation as opposed to repeating what is already conventional knowledge. So, of course, three things that come to mind that are very typically a challenge for founders of startups is talent, capital, and finding that first customer that really can serve as a reference customer or enterprise sort of reference account for you to sort of move into that sort of growth phase. And obviously, I would sort of just reaffirm those three things as being very, very important. You need to find the best people that you possibly can. You need to find enough capital to fuel your growth, and then find the first few customers that are really going to help you. But maybe just to add something different in terms of perspective, I think that the startup phase is it's well documented that we need help at all levels, public-private partnerships, mentorship. We need to celebrate entrepreneurship in this country. But there's a lot of emphasis today, relatively speaking, on that startup phase. Maybe so much so that it's encouraging people who have very little experience in throwing their hat into the ring and sort of giving it a try. And sometimes that comes at the expense of some of the more experienced entrepreneurs or technology leaders that might stand a better chance of success. But I would say it's this period between year two and year five that is really sort of a formative period for any growth company in the technology business. And too many think of the first 2 years as the make or break window, and you're either a moonshot or you're going to go sideways, and there's no in between. So whether it be talent, investors, forging new customer relationships, I find it's those period between year 2 and year 5 that some of that support is really needed, and where it might not be so obvious, whether that be a new investor or a new customer or somebody coming into the business with a great deal of vision and talent to kind of add sort of to the base that you already have in the first couple of years. That's invaluable, and that's what's going to build successful technology companies.
Well, Mark, that's good guidance. As you know, CATA is a public advocate, and we try to encourage governments and all Canadians to create those conditions. So that time frame perspective is important. Now, one thing you mentioned, and I've heard this many times, that finding that first customer, often it's not in the Canadian marketplace, and this has come back as a refrain that we should step up more in terms of being a first customer for Canadian technologies. What was your experience in finding that first customer? Any thoughts there?
Well, sure, I can sort of see parallels in our experience being from the East Coast and having the same attitude, if you like, where you have to go out and find that customer, and that it's not necessarily going to find you. And I did that. We did that in Toronto. Became a sort of a forward operating base for Screenscape, even though we're headquartered here in Charlottetown. And absolutely, have to have an attitude of going to where your customer is. But I do think that there's a role to play for, community partners, call them, government institutions, and Canadian businesses to sort of drink the Kool-Aid to try to sort of it's demand substitution. If you need something anyway, why not look at your own community for that resource? And we still struggle to sell to our own government here in Prince Edward Island. We struggle to sell to crown corporations. We struggle to sell to well-known maritime businesses who you would think would be among the earliest adopters, but sometimes it's taken us a success outside of our own backyard to actually win favor at home. So that's true at a regional level. It's true at a national level, which is absolutely mystifying to me. It's a very popular economic principle that if you want to diversify your economy, start with the things that you actually need, and look around your own backyard for sourcing that, and then maybe you'll build a competency in that very area, and then be able to export it to new markets. So it stands to reason that we should be buying more from our own domestic vendors, and helping them with promoting the success that you might have. When in our case, we've had great success with our early customers, and without them we'd be nowhere. So they wave the flag, and we just build around them as we go. So,
well, John Reid, host of TechNOW, signing off. Mark Hemphill, founder, entrepreneur, coming to us from Prince Edward Island. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your perspectives.
My pleasure.